Path of the Jaguar. We're on episode 6 now. We got a special guest, which I'm going to introduce in a little bit. But first, for those out there who are liking the podcast and enjoying and want to support, there's two main ways of doing that. The first one is Unseen Cove. How's it going so far on Unseen Cove?
It's going fucking great.
Beautiful thing, man. So,
which reminds me, I have to go ahead and put something up.
Yeah, every day, man. Designs coming in all the time. I got new stuff coming in soon. Check it out. It's new shirts, hoodies, hats, cool stuff for you guys to rock. The logo of the podcast will be up soon, so keep an eye out for that. Next, for all those people out there who like to breathe clean oxygen, change the way you get your electricity. Great idea. Everybody's going solar nowadays. Doesn't cost anything to get the things thrown up. If you guys are interested in getting numbers, seeing where the designs go and where all the panels will be going, there's an email in the description. Just shoot us a text or an email, and what we'll do is we'll have one of our professionals come by, show you why everybody's doing it, show you where everything goes, as well as how much money you can save while helping out the planet. All right, guys. So this episode we have Mr. Rob.
What's up, guys?
Here. Any aliases we should introduce you by? We all have like 100 of them, so.
I think it's better if we just hear them as we go along, you know what I mean?
We'll
we'll discover them. We'll explore.
We'll
explore. It's a mystery.
There you go.
There's like 16 of them. Don't worry.
Yep. So here I am, Michael, of the Media Fibnot. We have Fredolo. I know Barry Goose is putting out that little Project Bedford soon. I know that's working. So happy to hear that.
It's in the works. It's coming together, baby.
Cool, man. Happy to hear. So the way I wanted to start the podcast with you, because it's like a special thing, because for the people who don't know this, Mr. Rob is the one who actually thought of the name for the podcast. Not directly. This was years ago. I know I think it was LSD, me, you, and Kelvin, and the term came up, and then when me and Kel started thinking about what we were going to name the podcast, we were going through a bunch of names, and that was just the one that just stuck. It was like the decision was made. It didn't matter what it was, because it encapsulated what we wanted to do with the podcast so well. It sounded cool. Yeah. So I wanted you to just, because I try to explain what Path of the Jaguar is, and I can't put it in words. So I was hoping that you can help explain it to me.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you're in luck today because I don't really remember.
You don't remember?
I'll give you something.
Yeah.
I'll talk for a while, and then maybe something will come out of it. Yeah. But I don't really remember. I was high on LSD.
Yeah. And that explains it.
We were talking about.
Look at that.
We were talking about. Exactly. What were we talking about? Do you remember the gist? It was just like.
The way I remember it, the way I explained
tell me your version, and then maybe it'll spark up something in me.
So the whole Jaguar thing, the reason why that started coming into place was because we were seeing patterns on each other's faces.
Yes.
Like these Jaguar patterns, and it was
like the really, spots and the stripes, like you would.
Very geometric.
We're looking into his faces, and like you would like have that vision of a face looking. Your face would transform. You and Kelvin's face when I was looking at you guys, I'm like, oh shit, I feel like you guys look like these fucking Jaguars. Feline predators. Like leopards, whatever, yeah. And then Jaguar was just stuck in my head because Jaguars are just an amazing animal.
And they're very psychedelic in nature too, because they
Jaguars
eat psychedelics.
So
that's like a really cool thing, and that's why, like, again, it just every time I kept thinking of that name, how much more like it fit the podcast, and the whole path. I think it was kind of like we were just. Because we were kind of reconstructing how to behave while we were on LSD. Because you know how when you go on those drugs, it kind of like knocks you out, and like you have to like you get zeroed out and you start from scratch.
Yeah, you lose all sense of culture and like how am I supposed to act? Like where do I put my hands? Like
yeah, exactly. And then the path was like the way that we were following the Jaguar.
Yeah, that reminded me of something. We're also talking. I think it also related something to do with honor, like acting the right way, like because we're like, all right, I kind of remember now because we're an animal, just like every other animal on this planet, but also not like these animals on this planet. But when we grew out of this wild environment where there was danger lurking around every corner, and you wouldn't know if you could trust another human being, a stranger you haven't met before. Mm-hmm. So there was like a code of how to behave when you're dealing with other people, because you don't know. Maybe you don't know what kind of animal they are, what kind of, maybe they're out to get you or something. And I for some reason that reminded me of some type of like code of conduct of how to act, like, you know, around people, because they're dangerous animals too.
Yeah, and it's
Just
funny
like
how those things pop up. So, like, it's funny because it's not where I was going to go with this guy. I just wanted to get more information on the name, and I wanted to give you the shout out because that name is awesome, and I like the fact that you put that together. But it's weird how those things come into play, these code of conducts. And this is super old in humanity, and it's not even just written down at first, because that took a while for them to start writing down these code of conducts. It just comes in naturally, you know. Every single podcast we're up so far, by the way, we brought up Jordan Peterson, so of course that's going to come up, especially because you're the one that put me onto him. Okay. But like, that's a lot of the things that he's talking about right now, is these things that are innate in us, these rules of the way we behave, because we are these like robotic things with computers as brains, and then we're running through the how should I behave, how is this right, is this the wrong way of doing it, and that is in us. But then as civilization grows, or as civilization becomes civilization, we start writing it down and creating these things. And it's funny how that ties into the fact that we're on LSD, starting over from scratch, trying to make sense of things, and we started to kind of like develop our own. And it was like, it made a lot of sense to us, because it was like this brotherhood thing between us three that like just was born out of us just tripping and having that bond. And it's just weird that humans come up with that naturally.
Yeah. That also reminds me of like when we're like peeking at one point, and this stranger just runs into the part of the woods we're in, and he's jogging with a pit bull. And I think it's kind of related to what we're talking about, because me, you, and Kelvin are peeking, and we don't know how to.
We don't know. Pit bull?
Yes.
So this guy, he's like in a tank top. He's a pretty big dude, but you can tell he's not in control of this pit bull entirely. Like, he doesn't take this pit bull through the streets. He has to take this pit bull to the woods because there's no people there. To the point that it's not a leash, Freddy. It's a chain. This guy's holding a chain, and this fucking brolic ass pit bull is just pulling him along. And then,
yeah, and we're tripping out. We're looking like we're nervous because we're now it's like, all right, we weren't expecting this, or whatever. And he's looking at us like, what are these guys doing in the middle of the woods? Like, he probably felt awkward too because he was by himself, and it was just funny. Nothing happened, but like, when you're in that paranoid state, you make up all these stories that it could be anything. And I don't know. It just reminded me of that too, because it's back to like turning your back on other people. Like we're talking about Path of the Jaguars, like, and we're talking about how people are we're predators as well, like the Jaguar. And if you don't want to turn your back to the wrong ones.
Yeah, and it's weird that being on that drug like puts you more alert and more in that natural state, because you're not thinking about that stuff because you're walking around thinking about bills and thinking about what you're gonna eat and where you're gonna cook or whatever. So being in that state really put us like in a more natural, like, so there was one time where it was just, we were walking through the woods and they didn't have a pit bull. It was just a group of people getting on mushrooms, and I walked by them and I just cannot interact. Like, I couldn't even do the whole, hey, how you guys doing? Like, that was too much for me, because I guess like my nerves, or just me reacting to outside stimuli, like I shut down and I'm like trying to avoid it. Now this was like a different one, because it's like, now it's a guy like, I hope I don't have to interact with him, I hope I don't have to have a conversation with him, but I hope this fucking pit bull doesn't fucking go loose. So it's like, it's weird that goes through your head.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. So another big thing that I want to talk about. So that was more just a thing that I wanted to talk about, because that is the name of the podcast. But it's funny.
It's awesome. I loved it. We loved it. And I said it. You guys loved it right away.
Immediately. And
I was like doing voices. I was saying, more like a Jaguar.
Yeah, that was it.
I was like really into the character of this whole fictional society of Jaguar spirits, native.
It's perfect that it ties into the thing that I want to talk about next, is because it's just something that's happening now, is with the whole school shootings. With I just wanted to pick your brain on it. With Alabama, they're letting teachers carry guns in the school, and it's I don't think it's the worst thing. But again, it's like humans in these certain scenarios have to figure out what's best and what's going to backfire. But it's just how dichotomous people are. You're just so split. It's either you're on the right or you're the left. And it doesn't matter what the situation is. Your mind's already made up and you want to argue for this. So you have a bunch of people who are, yeah, well, let's fucking put more guns in the school. And you have people who are like, no, we should get rid of all guns completely. And I don't know, man. I just been wanting to talk about this. Is like, why the fuck is that the first solution? Is less guns or more guns? They're not going to the source of the problem. You know what I mean? They're taking out the flames that are on the outside, not going to the source of the fire to turn it out. And I kind of want to pick your brain on that because I think they can do whatever the fuck they want. Less guns, more guns, whatever. It's not going to solve the problem. And I kind of want to know what your thoughts are on what are better solutions. I have a couple, but I want you to go first, and I'll throw in my 2 cents.
All right. First of all, disclaimers. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
No, we don't. And they know this.
Second of all, I'm just gonna explore this. I'm just gonna talk.
We're just philosophizing here.
And yeah, I don't know. Like I've seen statistics somewhere. I was actually looking at it sometime this week about how common these incidents are. Like if you watch the news, you're gonna think this is like an epidemic.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, so many people are dying in these shootings or whatever. But if you look at like the numbers, I know it's kind of dumb to just look at numbers, without attaching the human experience to it. And these people, suffered and their families are suffering and everything. That's all, it all sucks. But if you're looking at the numbers, it's really unlikely you're gonna die in a school shooting. It's like less than 1%.
Yeah, it's just
it's a
because
fraction.
it's on the news all the time.
It's a fraction
and that's
of a
the stuff
fraction
that we talk about.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like even popping up now. It's just so it just seems like it happens more often than it actually does.
Yeah, like
but it is happening. School shootings are happening more now than they were years ago. They're just
right?
more current. But I know where you're going with the numbers, so I'll let you finish.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's like as blown, like it's a big deal. It's a big deal. I don't know what the fuck I'm going to say.
Of course.
But I don't know if it's a bigger problem as people make it seem to be, where
it gets blown out of proportion.
It's getting blown out of proportion where people think like this. Oh my God, this is happening more and more. We have to do something. We should take people's guns away. Like, why is that like the next step? Like, what I don't understand that either. I'm kind of with you. Like, why are we taking people's guns away?
Because they're looking at it at surface level. Someone's got guns, so they think that's where the problem is. That's the problem.
Banning guns at this point is pointless. Also, because there's 1.5 guns for every person in this country already, and it's already out there. These guns are already out there. For every American citizen, there's I think 1.5 guns or something. Look it up.
Yeah,
look it up. I'm saying the numbers wrong.
Probably,
whatever.
Yeah, and that's kind of like an annoying.
There's
thing
a lot of
for
guns
me because.
So the guns ain't going nowhere because they're already here. So the people who it's gonna affect, it's gonna affect the people who actually follow the law.
Yes.
So law-abiding citizens are just gonna be the ones following the law. So they're not gonna have guns. But criminals don't follow the law, so they don't care if you ban it. So it's okay. So who are you making this like? Who is this? What is this law actually doing? It's making it harder for law-abiding citizens who just enjoy maybe hunting or shooting as a hobby. Which if you haven't shot a gun before, you'll be surprised to know that guns are really fun to shoot.
It even rhymes. Gun fun. This is not an accident, people. Come on.
Yeah, it's mad fun.
Yeah. But that's the whole deal. Because it's only going to support the black market. And it's so funny how both sides, left and right, they don't realize that prohibition doesn't work. But they'll use that argument for certain things. So the alcohol is the prime example. They tried that shit. It just increased crime. People were still drinking anyways. But you have people on the left who want weed and abortions to be legal because prohibition doesn't work, but they want to prohibit guns. And you have people on the other side, don't prohibit guns. That shit doesn't work, but they want to fucking prohibit weed and all these other things. So it's really annoying that people aren't seeing that because again they're just looking at it surface level. This is the thing that's causing it, and they're not diving deeper because people don't how many people really dive deeply into the thoughts of what's actually going on? No, they're just reactive because we're animals and that's just how we behave. So it's that's the one thing with it. So where I was trying to steer the conversation towards as well was that taking something away from somebody a lot of the time just makes them want the thing more, but also just they're just gonna find another way of getting it but nobody's talking about, not nobody, but less people are talking about how we should educate our people and what type of community we should have and what type of culture that we should have with each other. No, they just want to divide it. So it's, no, these people are the worst people. They want to have more guns. These people are assholes because they want to take away our guns, instead of going like, yo, why are we so split? That's the reason why kids are fucking going out there and shooting people is because they're product of, obviously, how America is. And like, you have all those little kids right now, not to shit on what they're doing. I think they're doing the right thing where they're protesting. There's a bunch of kids apparently, like they left school and they're trying to get Congress to.
Yeah, probably their parents probably pushing to do that. Maybe.
Some maybe of them are genuinely scared, though.
maybe the teachers. I don't know.
Kids are genuinely
like,
scared.
do you guys ever? When you were, how old are these kids?
Probably in high school, but probably junior high.
When you're in high school and junior high, really, how many people you know were protesting?
Yeah,
I was
kids?
aware.
Are you saying kids or
they're kids? They're
no,
public
I
school
understand
kids.
that the kids are protesting, but so what you're saying right now?
Like, do you remember protesting anything when you were a kid? Like, that's like so far removed from like my mentality when I was that age. I was more like, oh my god, I have a fucking boner right now. Holy shit!
Yeah.
Let me cover that up so nobody sees it. Like, that's what, like, my.
The biggest word is like, what to do with your boners.
Yeah, like, what the, like.
Especially if you're wearing sweatpants. It's a wrap.
Obviously,
I don't think, maybe these kids are they were smarter than I was, but like, I feel like a big part of it is just, it's a cultural push from maybe their parents or teachers or something.
And also because we have internet now, so you can see everything going on. You can pull in more people's political beliefs, and this is what people do. Go ahead, Fred.
I think that's what it is really, is that because we have the internet and people are on these devices at all times, that it's like we see it more. It's constantly being fed to us. So to us, it's making it seem like it's being blown out of proportion just because we're seeing it all the time. It's in our faces. We're reminded about it all the fucking time, and it's making it seem like it's happening more than.
It is still happening a lot, though.
It is, of course. It's still happening.
So my thing is, it's not that.
I know
we should ignore
the
it.
way we're talking about it almost makes it seem like we're like.
All right, that reminds me of something.
Play it off as like it's not a big deal. Obviously, it's a big deal, but as he was saying, it's less than 1%. Like, it's not a. Kids shouldn't really feel like they're gonna get killed at school.
But they should be more worried about like fucking. A gas leak in the school, you know what I mean? Like, that's a big that too. The numbers, wrap it up, kids.
The numbers for STDs.
Teen pregnancy.
All that shit.
We should always try to put out the fires, but we should put out the bigger fires first, and we should always go to the source. So, where I was going with the reason why I brought up the whole process thing, don't forget your thought, though. I know you had something in your mind. Where, again, now you have these kids who are just going to Congress and they're telling them, like, hey, this is what you guys need to do to solve the problem, without really having a big grasp on what is actually causing this. Where I was thinking about this morning, where it's like, again, just responsibility. And people taking things into their own hands instead of asking other people, hey, can you fix the problem? Those kids that are shooting the schools are probably outcasts. They probably get picked on and pushed around, and they get pushed out of their tribe, which is school. So, of course, they're going to get to a point where they're desperate and maniacal and malevolent. Of course, that's going to happen because they have nothing to lose. Their life is shit, and if... In their perspective, because they need to interact with people and people aren't interacting with them. So I think that is a better thing for kids to do. Just, hey, like, look around to the kids who you feel like, not that they're a danger, but like who would need that helping hand. Instead of going, hey, let's take all these toys away from people. Like, hey, how about we support each other? How about we show each other love so that this is not even an option for people? That's why there's so many fucking shootings.
But it's also
in America.
very hard to communicate that information to kids.
Of course, and that's what I'm saying. But it's not like an easy solution. This is something like to solve this problem isn't going to be some legislature like one piece of thing that they sign and then it's fixed. It's going to take decades to work on this because we have to strengthen our culture.
This kid that shot up the school, where did he get this gun from?
He actually got his own gun. He went and got
he went and got his own.
Like he went legally, but that doesn't matter because a kid from Sandy Hook, he just took it from his parents.
Exactly.
How do you regulate that? If his parents got a background check and they're good and they're responsible to have guns,
they should be better parents.
Everybody should, but yeah, absolutely, yeah, because they're at fault because they had this thing in the house and they weren't aware that the kid could go and grab it. But
would you ever, let's say you have a gun, are you ever given that passcode to the lock?
No,
to your child?
No fucking way. But I'm
yeah, but he's older now. And just in case anything happens.
Hey, just in case the house gets broken into.
He's 18 now. He's 18.
Yeah, the house gonna get broken into. This is where the gun is. I don't know. I'm still on the.
That's tough.
The teetering point of whether to own a gun or not if I have a house like that, especially because you have kids like that's back to like teachers having the gun on them in school. Like, what's stopping a kid from taking the gun and shooting another kid or shooting the teacher or whatever? And that's gonna happen. For the places that they're putting guns in school, it's gonna happen. It might at the end of it be better that they have the gun than somebody coming in with a gun and killing everybody. There's.
I think security guards or things like that should have guns. I don't know if the teachers need them.
Again, so my big thing is I don't think that's. It's just you're fighting fire with fire, and again, it's probably better. Like instead of 15 people dying, 2 people die. Like yeah, sure, it's better, but. You're still not going at the source.
All right, so I'm gonna
jump
go
in.
off of that. Like one of the things you always hear when these big like tragedies happen is like, oh my God, I can't believe how did he do this? Wow, how? Like I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like how? Like why? How can he? I can't even imagine how he thinks. Like, honestly, like we're all capable of doing it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you're that person was a person just like you. He was just put under different circumstances. Maybe he was just put in a position where his train of thought brought him to that dark spot in the human mind that we all have. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We're all angels and devils, right?
You think everybody's capable of it?
Yes, we're all capable of some dark shit. Mm-hmm. And if you don't recognize that, then you are ignorant and you're more likely to be possessed by that darkness inside of you because you're not aware of it. You're not aware of your shadow. You're not aware that you're capable. Like when people say, "Oh, I don't know, I can't kill anybody." Like to me, I'm like, "Yeah, I know I can kill somebody. I know, like because I could see a situation where that happens. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I could imagine that. I have that capability I have that imagination to bring me into a situation like, oh yeah, I could do that. And if you don't believe you could do that, you're weak. You're weak and you're ignorant. You're like a child. You're like a baby, and you're more dangerous because of that.
Seriously, because like
you know what I'm saying?
You're like a baby. You're like a
baby.
Fucking,
you don't know. Kill somebody, you baby. What,
like your baby with a gun. You don't even know it. Like
Because that's one thing, like, especially when I moved out to Brooklyn, like, that was one thing that was going through my mind. Like, I'm going to be walking around with my shit. There's the chances of me being mugged are increased, you know? And if I got put in a situation where somebody had a gun to my head and then I just somehow got lucky and I was in the right situation, like, and I knocked the gun out of his hand and I knocked him down, like, what do? Do I leave this guy alive? This guy's going to try to kill me.
Right. So
if it was, like, a split decision that you need to make where it's like, hey, it's either him or me, if you're, oh, no, I would never do that. Well, guess what? Now you're a danger to yourself because now this person's going to kill you because this person's actually malevolent and they let that dark part of them inside come out.
We all have that. Like humans have been killing each other since the beginning of time. Like if you even look at mythology, the first humans born of another human being killed each other. They were brothers, Cain and Abel. Mm-hmm. Like that's like, and it was over jealousy. Like, you know, it's like like that. There's a reason, like in mythology, that comes up is because that's just a part of who we are. And if you're not aware of that those deep roots into hell or whatever, like Jung might say or something, it's you're more susceptible to that because now those dark shadows in your mind are working without you even being aware of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because awareness.
Yeah.
Because if you know the thing is there,
Yeah.
you can work around it and so on. But if
You can
not,
negotiate
you're just
with
gonna
it,
manipulate it.
and take the good traits from that shadow side. Like, all right, you know, maybe I should be more assertive to get the things that I want. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like, it makes you, like, because, you know, nowadays we're all just like civilized, like Chris Ryan says, civilized to death. Like, we're fucking house cats now. We're all like, we're super soft and weak, and we, you know, we complain if the water's not the right temperature when we're taking a bath.
God,
Like, we're so weak. Like,
Sheltered.
like if our ancestors looked at us, they'd be like, "What happened to these people?"
Yeah,
They're
and you don't have to go that
fat,
far back
round-
in generations.
Yeah,
You
not
go back
even.
a generation or two.
You can go to like
pussy.
you go to World War I, World War II, and look at what those people did. You know, our grandparents, our great like what they went through. The people who went through the Great Depression. Stuff like that, and they'll look at us like, "What have we become? Like all these sacrifices I made in my life, so my next generation can come, and this is what we're coming up with. We made soft people who, guess what? In history, whenever a civilization becomes super soft, guess what? They die. Another stronger, usually quote unquote barbarian or more wild human comes and takes over. It happened to every civilization. You know, it happened to the Romans. It happened like it's a repeating pattern.
Yeah, I got the pattern for you in words too. So strong people bring good times. Good times bring weak people. Weak people bring bad times. Bad times bring strong people, and that just gets cycled through and through. Because that's just, and you can see that pattern because so many civilizations, they're on their peak and they're doing so good, and then fucking the Mongols come and wipe them out. And it's funny because I thought you were gonna bring that up, the Mongolians and Genghis Khan earlier, with, in perspective, we think this is the end of days. Some people do. Like, oh my God, the world has gone to shit. The most murders and most, like, evil people and all these things. Like, no, we're, like, in comparison, doing really good. Yeah, there
It's
are
the
kids
most
who,
peaceful time to live in human history.
like, we still have problems that we still need to fix, and we should continue striving to fix those things.
Yeah.
Like right now, if you're a kid, you might be worried that you're going to be in a school shooting, but at least you didn't have to worry about your village being sacked at any point by men and horses who are just going to demolish you. Like, you know, rape, murder, whatever. You know what I mean? The whole fucking deal. And that was a constant thing. And then before that, people were worried about fucking big cats and fucking snakes and all these things. Like, we're doing pretty good right now. Again, doesn't mean we shouldn't strive for
being better.
Yeah.
Just to like elaborate on it a little bit, like at one point in time, for a long time, whenever a boat full of strangers showed up on your fucking land,
it's a problem.
It's not gonna be what you think it is like nowadays. It's gonna be some people are gonna die because nowadays when a boat full of strangers show up, they come with fistfuls of money and they want to take pictures of all your stuff. Tourism, you know what I mean? Like back in the day, there was no tourism. People came to fucking kick your head in and take your woman and, you know, kill you. And take your gold.
Rape her right in front of you.
Yeah.
And your children.
Genghis Khan. So, like, and it's funny that this all ties in too, where, like, people don't realize the darkness in them and they don't see the advantages of the darkness, where xenophobia is an example of that. Where people are like, I don't understand why, you know, people are just so ignorant and are scared of outside people coming in. It's like, well, evolutionary, like it makes sense that you would be worried about a bunch of people that you don't recognize who have a different culture because they might wipe out your fucking entire tribe.
Just with disease, even with
exactly, it's fucking simple. It can even be not on purpose.
That's why, like, 50% of our population, probably a little bit less of our population, has that fear of the stranger and wants to build walls around everything. They want to cut off trade because I got this from a Jordan Peterson lecture. You can check it out. He'll elaborate way better than I did. But that's the idea. It's our biological, it's our imperative not to just trade with anyone because they might have a disease that wipe off our entire culture. Look at the Native Americans, look at the Aborigines, throughout time you see it happens when strange people meet, there's going to be an exchange of not only goods but diseases too that you don't have an immunity to that's can possibly decimate your entire culture.
Yeah, and like again that doesn't excuse people to be, you know, hateful and like, you know, just hateful is the best word for it. But like, as long as you guys are under the same contract, under the same code of conduct. Because if this person's willing to murder you and they're an outsider, well, guess what? You have to do something to protect yourselves, or you're just a fucking sheep. Where now, if it's like you guys are culturally similar, where it's like, all right, we do want the same priorities, we're on the same team,
We have the same values.
then it doesn't matter because we're such a melting pot in this country. People don't see, oh, the fact that we're in the same culture makes us the same. They're looking at it very simple, like as simple as possible. Color, the way you're dressed. That's where they're like, all right, I'm gonna build a wall between us. You're a danger because you look different. Because we're simple and we're reactive. That's how they're gonna act. Where it's like, it should be more based on culture and again, your combined code of conduct. And I can see where like religion plays a good role in that, because it's like, oh, I don't think we should murder each other. You don't think we should murder each other? We're the same religion? Okay, we agree. But that doesn't mean that the people are going to act on the code of conducts that they were handed, because that's a big thing. And that's to go back to the source of the problem, because it's not just a gun problem. It's just the people pitting themselves against their neighbors. One of those big things I feel like to put out that flame is just an education in psychology, where if you are equipped to be prepared for your malevolence, other people's malevolence, and be able to read people better and allow more of a communal understanding between us all.
Find a way to live a life that's purposeful or meaningful.
Yep. Like there does need to be a rise of a new religion. I think the other ones are outdated, in my opinion. There's obviously great things. The chunk of it is good, and the new religion would be just rebirthed out of those things. But there needs to be, and it's not just a religion. It's not like, oh, just a church. I'm talking about something that could be in the schools, something that can be in the communities, and the way people operate, so that there's no.
But
go.
Who's gonna follow the rules? People don't follow the rules now.
It's not about like hammer and fist, like, no, you have to do this is the rule. It's more just the way people are brought up and the values that we give each other. So, for example, one big value in this country is fame and money. There's nothing wrong with the two, but if that is your only priority, then of course the other evils are going to come out of it. So you give a kid like, oh, you know what's going to make people like you and going to bring you happiness? Sex. Get a lot of sex. And then they're going out and that's all they're doing. And then now you have kids who are raping girls behind dumpsters because their software, their structure in them that's creating the decisions for them puts sex over the other person's well-being. Right. Yeah, because that's the most important thing to them. Money, same deal. I'm gonna fuck these people over because I need to make money because it's gonna bring me success and happiness. No, that shit's not gonna work. But now if you hand these values and priorities, because now we all look up to our heroes and our idols, and if our heroes and idols and parents and all these things are valuing certain things, we have literally no choice but to like those things. Obviously there's gonna be people who are just villains, who no matter what it is, they want to be a parody of it and they want to attack it. So hey, be good. Immediately they go, no, I don't want to do what you know what I mean? Just, you get it. It's like the Joker. Mm-hmm. Like the Joker is a perfect symbol archetype of it. Like it pops up a lot, where it's not about him gaining something. It's not about him becoming rich or anything like that. What he wants is to just fuck shit up. He just wants to create chaos. Those people are always going to exist. There's nothing we could do about it. But if more people are under the umbrella of, hey, this is what's actually important and these are the things that you should focus on, then everything else will just fall into place. Kids aren't going to be shooting up schools because that's not, they're not going to gain what they want to gain out of it.
Yeah.
Because the reason why they've been brought to that point is because they're out. They have no other.
Why do you think they do that? Like, all right, let's say you're the kid and you're being cyberbullied and you're dealing with being bullied at school, all this stuff. And then over time, you just go to school and you shoot a bunch of people.
My answer is going to be probably something from what Jordan Peterson's saying, so I'm sure you can answer it the same way.
They want to live forever?
Robbie, do you know the specific thing I'm thinking about?
Well, I just look at it like their view on the world is like, this world is fucked up. Mm-hmm. I live in like, they become resentful. They become Cain. They're like, oh, yeah, that's God favors these people, and I'm suffering because of the way he created the universe, his creation. This universe is flawed. There's something wrong with existence. So guess what? I'm gonna destroy life because it's wrong, and I'm gonna destroy everybody's life because this is
I'm sad. Everybody has.
Yeah, they're
like they believe existence is terrible. Yeah, they're like, this. Whoever created this, they might even did a terrible job.
They might even
they're
helping.
They're like, you know what? Let's just light the match and burn the whole place down because this is a terrible place to exist and live.
Like for me,
that's really what it is. Like, and it's easy to see like how you can get to that point if you have.
Yeah, sure. You could you go really deep into like negative shit. If you focus on that stuff.
Not only that, but like, you know, you're gonna suffer in life, so you need something. You need like a philosophy or psychology to like shield your brain from that. You know, from those ideas, because you'll get like if you dwell in that in those places long enough. Something's gonna come out, and it's not gonna be pretty.
Mm-hmm. Like for me, what I've been thinking lately is like, in the most simple form of it, I think it's gratitude, right? So Cain, he was ungrateful. Like, things will go bad, and he was focused on the fact that he wasn't getting what his brother was getting, so he was upset, and then he turned on God, hid from God, and decided to. He was just mad at God. And I think that's what those kids are. Whatever way you want to define God, just the entire existence exactly was exactly the thing. If you're ungrateful for everything, well, guess what? It doesn't matter how things are going. You're going to want to pit yourself against it. Where if you're a grateful person, shit goes bad, you go, okay, yeah, so all my whole farm got wiped out, or hey, kids are bullying me at school. Well, guess what? At least my mom loves me. At least school's only for a couple years. It's hard for them to obviously think this way because they're kids. Like, it's hard for adults to think this way, but that's what it just comes down to. Is it's a philosophy. Like, the way I think of it is like just a better software that can handle viruses that are going to come in, because the viruses are coming in no matter what. You're going to always have these negative thoughts, and things are always going to be bad, and you're always going to be challenged, and you have to be able to siphon through all of it.
Pay attention.
Yeah, and these are things that should be taught. Like, literally, like, just hearing me and Freddy, I think the last episode we spoke about it, where it's just the word awareness, how much awareness it brought to us when we just started to dive into that word. And why couldn't that be, a lesson for a week for kids? You know, most of it's just going to go over their heads, because if you're not ready to learn the thing, you're not ready to learn it. But things like that need to be taught. The things that Jordan Peterson is teaching on a college level, a lot of that stuff can be broken down and be taught at a younger... Like, in Japan, before they start, like, learning calligraphy and learning math and all that stuff, the first thing that they're taught is how to behave as a person.
Wow.
And how to
oh, wow. Oh, Surprise
that shit fucking works.
Wow.
Really?
And of course, the Japanese are already doing it.
Yeah.
Like, especially because it's like you can live in a big city in Tokyo and leave your bike and your laptop unprotected, and it's not going to be stolen because people were taught how to act.
Yeah, because they were given a value.
And people want to act properly.
Yeah.
People want to be good. You know what I mean? Like,
it's also lack of faith in others, you know?
Yeah, there's no trust. Because
that's the biggest commodity in Japan. Like, they're in a tiny island compared with not many resources, and they became one of the most economic. They're one of the most powerful countries in the world economically, because what they trade is trust in between each other. Japanese people in there trust each other, so they know, like, all right, this person's not gonna fuck me over when I'm doing business with him, because he does things the right way. So that allows business to grow and flourish more, because you could trust. If you could trust the other person you're dealing with, like, it's an exponential factor to just making growth and profit. You know what I mean? If that person is gonna do the thing he said he's gonna do when you give him the money. Look, I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, it's just simple.
How many
homeless? It's easy. You don't have to worry about it.
Because it's more complicated. You have to worry about everything that.
How many homeless people are in
Japan?
Yeah.
In Tokyo? I don't know.
Exactly
That's a good question.
582. I don't know. Look
I
it
bet
up.
you
You
it's a
have
lot.
to have an iPad
I
in front
bet
of
you it's a
Pull it
lot
up.
less than in just one city in America.
Yeah,
you
I'm
go
sure
to
there's a good
LA,
amount.
you feel like you're in fucking The Walking Dead. You know what I mean? Like,
That's what I'm saying. I feel like where I was going with that is,
that's a good point. I'm gonna look it up right now.
I wonder how many people there are homeless or are in.
I'm sure it
severe
definitely reduces
struggling.
it. I'm sure it definitely reduces it when you.
But
when
also,
you
it's
thought,
like it's hard to trust
1 in
things
10,000.
when you see.
What's America?
I don't know.
Find that out next, please.
There's they're in 2014. The number of homeless people in Tokyo reached a record low of 1,697 people. So that's 1 for every 10,000 city inhabitants.
Okay. Pull up.
1 in 10,000 people are homeless. Let's see. Let's look at New York or LA.
Yeah, New York City. LA, I'm sure is fucking. It's 1 out of every 3.
That's what finish your thought.
Zombies walking around.
No. All right. So I feel like even seeing things like that, just seeing it, could go ahead and weaken your faith and your trust in your economy, in your country, in your own city.
Oh yeah, because then now you have to build up a defense for it. Because
Exactly,
this person
because
fucked me over.
That takes
Well, guess what?
energy.
Everyone else is potentially gonna fuck
I have
me
to
over.
do what's best for me, man.
Which we should always think that way. You should always look
Right,
at
right.
always be ready for all the dangers. But it's simpler.
Yeah.
When it's like, oh, okay, we have the same value system. We are on the same side. You know, whatever I do is gonna benefit you. Where, and it's not just America, but in America we worship individuality way much more than we should. And
I think that's good.
I don't think it's a terrible thing, but then it's not about the community. Like in Japan, they're okay with being a cog in the machine. You know? Yeah, I can work at a factory, whatever. It's going to be for the collective good. Where out here, it's like, nah, fuck you. I'm stepping on your neck so I can climb to the top. Which, again, is admirable in certain ways, but there's obviously better ways of doing it. And, again, like the reason why they can do that is because their education. They've been doing it for longer. And they've had this empire for, was thousands of years. So they were able to, like, work through what they need to do. So being able to teach people, like, and I think that's just a big thing that we can just adopt in this country, is just starting off with, hey, this is how you should behave with your classmates, how you should behave with your neighbors, like, and it's going to take a while, because if you're taught that in school, but your parents are shitbags because they weren't taught that, well, guess what? You're going to have a harder time. But then it slowly gets there.
Your brain as a child is going to be fucked up. Like,
yeah, and that's why people are so fucked up.
You go to school and they're telling you to do the right thing. Then you go home and your parents and, whatever lifestyle you have at home is a disaster.
Dude, I was 8 years old and kids are saying racist things. Where the fuck do you think they learned that from? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that, they got that from their parents. Their parents, are just resentful, angry people. They're Cain, they're bitter, and that's how they behave, and they're not aware that their kids are going to be picking up on this, and they probably don't care either. But like, we're getting there slowly. I feel like certain things are, like, for example, Rob, with Navi, she does yoga in school, and I got a nice little anecdote for you in a little bit. Where, like, these little things that they're, like, being taught, like, the earlier they get these values into them, the better. So one little cool thing with so for the people out there listening, Navi is mine and Rob's niece. Surprise, bitches. We're brothers. This whole entire time you watch this podcast, you didn't know that we're brothers on the low. So Navi, I sat down with her yesterday and I meditated with her. Right?
You told me. You mentioned it, but you didn't tell me the story yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's perfect to bring it up here. So I just gave her simple instructions, like, this is the game we're going to play. We're going to sit here, back straight, just breathe in your nose, out of your mouth, and when you think of stuff, stop thinking about it. It's okay to think about it, but just be aware that you're thinking about it, and then just go back to breathing. And she picked it up pretty quickly. And then, like, every once in a while I'll look over to her, and I'll, like, straighten up her back, and, like, I can see her, like, fidgeting with her hands. I was probably more fidgety than she was, but she picked it up and she was able to do it. Mm-hmm. But the cool thing for me was at the end of it, like, she volunteered the information. So she's like, oh yeah, like, I kept thinking about a bunch of things. I'm like, no, that's fine, it's good. That's why we do this, so that you can pay attention to your thoughts. And I'm like, what was it that you thought about? And she didn't want to tell me at first. It's just so funny. Like, I guess, shame within us. Like, she didn't want to divulge the information of what was going through her head. But then she told me, she's like, I was thinking about Kermit. And I just start, I'm like, wait, what?
Like the frog?
Yeah.
Kermit the Frog, the puppet, Kermit the Frog. And it's just, it's going to blow your mind on why she was thinking of Kermit. And she's like, why do you think you were thinking about Kermit? And like, you could tell like she didn't want to talk about him. Because, and then her words were, because he makes my nightmares scary. Because she has nightmares of Kermit biting her. And what is that? It's fear. So while she was meditating, while she was becoming aware of her thoughts, fear comes into play. Mm-hmm. The embodiment of her fear, the thing that she's scared of, it just manifests in her head. And I couldn't even show her a picture. When I showed her, she's no, she's scared. Damn. And I was trying to figure it out. I was like, is it because he's green? Is it because he's a puppet? My guess is probably just going to be as yours. Why do you think Kermit?
Well, Kermit is a frog, and frogs are beings that like are on the threshold of chaos and order. They're typically found near water, mm-hmm. but they're also land creatures. So they're also like, if you look,
yeah, she's not thinking about that.
Yeah, but this deep mythological, this ingrained in us, in our minds,
and our DNA,
like. And the natives looked at frogs as like canaries in the coal mine. Like if the frog started dying, that means there's something going wrong in the environment, that the weather's changing, or the water's poisoned or something like that. They would look at frogs for that, because they're like, there's a lot of things going on. I highly recommend you check out The Metaphysics of Pepe the Frog.
That sounds hilarious.
By Jonathan Pageau and Jordan Peterson. It's amazing. They break down like, you know, the frog and the princess and what their symbolism is. And also, hilariously enough, Jordan Peterson is, people call him Kermit because he sounds like Kermit the Frog.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And in the video, they break down everything. Like, he actually had it's hilarious. He had like a frog headdress that a Native American carver made for him and gave to him. And people were calling him Kermit before he even knew that. And he put the frog on, funny. And it drove people crazy. Because they're like, what are the chances? Whatever.
And then the whole Pepe the Frog thing happening during the whole thing, and he's kind of like looked at like as an alt-right troll. So it's just like the layers are hysterical.
A lot of synchronicity involved.
Synchronicities. There you go. So like Kermit also looks like a snake.
Okay.
That was what went through my mind. But yeah, that just reinforces these mythologies and these just relationship we have with certain animals.
And there's also an Egyptian god. The Egyptian god of chaos is a frog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kek, right? And that, yeah. So that I know you could dive into that fucking rabbit hole for a little while.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of these internet like memers like worship Kek.
But it like came up in such a funny way.
Like people think like these people. Anyway, go ahead.
No, go for it.
I want to hear it.
Well, I highly recommend that you guys check out that video I was talking about. But people were worshiping Trump as like a people on the internet, these people on 4chan and all these people who make memes were looking at Trump like he's an incarnation of the god of chaos, Kek, the Egyptian god of chaos.
Which is so fucking funny because like the synchronicity is there because that's what I think Trump is doing good for us.
He's a god of
bringing chaos, which is going to bring order.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, which is so
that's what
funny,
a lot. And you know what's
man.
funny? People say that without even knowing this whole
this
whole connection. People say that like he's shaking things up to show people, look what's going. See how
this is what's wrong.
This is what's broken.
Going on. Yeah. I can be president. I'm a celebrity.
Donald Trump's a frog.
He's a troll. It's amazing.
He's warning us that something bad is happening. There's something wrong in our environment. The frogs are coming up. Like, and there's also those plagues of frogs in the Bible and stuff like that, and snakes and stuff.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Do you think we're going to war with Korea?
Nah, I think we're too advanced. Not advanced. Like, I hope we're smart enough not to do something like that.
The technology,
but
is too
strong. I like
maybe.
I want to know what your thoughts are. Remove everything.
If there's gonna be a war, it's probably gonna be this year. it's gonna be this year.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe
that's
before
fine.
the
Listen,
summer.
Listen.
If it happens, it's gonna happen this year.
Yeah, okay.
Because it can't happen later on. Because I feel like
Stop with the political bullshit. I want to hear your answer.
well, I just said I hope not. I don't think so.
That's not. So your answer is no. We're not going to war.
Nah. I don't want to wish that. I don't want to put that
I
in there.
understand. I'm just asking you a question.
No, we're not going to war.
Gotcha.
Freddie's got some inside information. We're not allowed to disclose it on the
You can
podcast.
disclose it on the
But I think it's not unrealistic to believe.
Of course it's not. Nothing.
And if it were to happen, I'm gonna say in the first 6 months of the year.
Well, oh wow, that's within the next 4 months.
Because I feel
Okay,
like
so
the
ultimately-
climate's
all right,
there.
but it-
Like the climate's there, but I think the
Probably
longer time passes, I think the less likely it is to happen because people will be, you know what I mean, like
Okay.
as hot-headed if whatever. I don't know.
All right. So to clear up,
Don't listen to me, guys.
to clear up his answer was no. We're not going to war. But if we are going to go to war, I think it's going to be in the first 6 months.
It's gonna be more. I think
let the countdown
the sooner it happens, the more likely it is to happen. The longer I think people will like be more, cautious. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
No, I get what you're saying.
Okay.
But like with me, I feel like it's like probability wise, like we how many wars have we gone into in the last 100 years? It's like an insane amount.
It's like every 7 years or something.
Yeah, or I think it's even less than that. I think it was like every 3 years. So it's like there's a good chance we might get into another little war. It might not be something big where it's like nuclear weapon wise,
Right.
but yeah, these are things.
Actual contact with another place that's like getting rid of some people.
it's happening now. How many wars are we in now?
Yeah.
At least 2. No, can't even keep up with them. No.
I think we just. I don't know. I'm not gonna say anything because I don't want to.
Yeah, there we go. Google that shit. There's people getting killed. There's bombs dropping on people's heads. That happens, and it's still safer than when Genghis Khan was riding around. So, be grateful for that. Be grateful for that. So I want to finish up with the 5-year-old's meditation experience. So the next 2 things that she brought up, one was school, which makes sense. She was just thinking about school. That's her career, her job right now. With the one
Spends
thing
a lot of time there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what she does.
It's like 40 hours a week thing.
So of course that's gonna pop into her head. And the other one was her helping potty train her younger brother who doesn't exist. It's a hypothetical baby brother that she wants to help.
Wild.
Which is wow, how innate that is. Like the maternal instinct of this kid pops up while she's thinking of nothing because that's. And she was like, she was like really happy to talk about that because it's like these are things that bring people joy, like helping people and being maternal and nurturing. So it's just so cool, like these little tools that we have. Sit there, breathe, do nothing, and then how much you can learn about yourself. And like, there's a school. I don't remember where I read about it from, but they started introducing meditation to kids. So instead of suspending them for getting into a fight, hey, Jimmy, you have to stay after school. You're going to meditate for a little bit.
Ooh, that's powerful.
Drops fighting, drops suspension, increased grades, like all that shit. Because of course that's going to have an effect. And again, to bring it back to Japanese culture and Eastern cultures and why they have those benefits that they have, I'm sure that's part of the equation where they're just more aware. They're being taught awareness. They're being taught how to be more, how to be able to reflect on themselves and be able to just be in more control because that's something that we desperately need. Because that's something that's so simple.
And they're thinking about the other.
Yeah.
It's huge. Wow. Yeah. Just that alone. Is
They're
huge.
thinking about the other person like that's a person too. That's just like that's just me in a different body maybe. I don't know. That's like.
How old is she?
5. It's on our way to 6. But like it's just that it was that simple. Now imagine schools just did that. I wish it wouldn't have to be schools because if the government could just not be involved, that'd be great. If the parents could just be like, hey, these are the things I should teach my kids. Maybe a book should come out where it's like. Or it's not a book should just come out. Somebody should write the book. Someone should take responsibility of it and put that out there where it's like these are hot. And where do they learn it from? I know there's millions of steps first, but like something where parents should take some sort of responsibility to make sure that the kids know these crucial things that are gonna make them happier, make them more successful, but also just benefit the community immensely. And it should be in schools too. And like that's an actual thing that can. I don't know, solve the problem. I don't think you could ever probably solve this problem. I'm sure it's always going to be there. But at least put down the flames a bit.
Yeah, if we start like
away.
young telling these kids like all our myths, you know, I think like storytelling and myth is where you can capture a child's imagination with the powerful imagery, and they're taking in this knowledge, and then they don't even know they're taking it in because they're just so pulled in by the story itself. Like I remember being a kid, when you were hearing a fantasy story, or like I remember being a little kid in elementary school and being in the library and like fingering through a book on Greek mythology, and it just sucked my attention right away. Like the imagery and then like when I start cracking open the pages and reading the text, I'm like, whoa, what is going on here? Like I didn't know what was going on, but like I wanted to keep reading it, and I'm like, what does that mean? Like what he does, like these sequence of events, and then this happens. Like I just found this so interesting, and now looking back, like of course it makes sense. Like these are deep seated like ideas that like just been in our collective conscience since the beginning. Like those are like the original comic books that we came up with to tell the stories that we should tell about our existence and who we are and who we want to be. Like it's like these gods in the stories are like distillations of our greatest potential as humans. Like we at one day, if we behave, if you follow these stories and we behave the right way, we can make this planet a better place to live if we all paying attention and we're all doing the right thing. Like I don't know.
No. You're 100% right. You're 100% right. And it's funny because again, to bring up Jordan Peterson,
and we're
for the
creating
17th
that
time
with our stories. That's why look at like this week. What's been on Instagram and everything. All that. It's Black Panther, a Marvel movie, a superhero. Like these are our gods nowadays. The superheroes are our gods, and even some of them are named after the gods of the past. There's Thor. You know what I mean? Like
these are your heroes.
Yeah.
People
and
were. I know
and then
we
you
know
model
someone
yourself
who
around
worships
these heroes.
Batman. There's people who pray to Batman. I promise you.
I've heard about it. Like
people who pray to Superman,
and people get obsessed, and that's why they get obsessed, because they want to model themselves around.
People are missing
people.
that. They're missing that mythology. That like people like to not like a big trend in our culture was leaning more on the left side of the brain, like being very materialistic, reductionistic, like where in reality, like that part of our brain, the left side of our brain, the reductionist, the materialist side of our brain is just a tool. It's not the powerful side of the right side of our brain, our creativity, our imagination. That part of our brain is what makes us really. That's like the master. That's behind the scene. That's what's creating this world with our stories, with our music, with our poetry and art. Like I think we're spending too much time on the calculating side of our brain and not much in the imagination, creative side of our brain.
Because you're not whole at that point.
Yeah, like
you're building a wall between your brain and saying no, this part I'm not going to listen to. Like no, you're not whole anymore. Yeah. You're half a human and you're missing out on half the world. Yeah. Essentially, more so. But like it's really important for those things. Like to start where you started off was. Like teaching kids mythology, but like Jordan, what he was saying is not only just teaching them, telling them mythology and telling them the stories, but also explaining it. Because you do get some stories out of like school. Like I remember like simple like those the fables, like the sour grapes, for example, the fox eats the sour grapes. Like you read them and they teach it more of like a literature thing, and then they just kind of end it there. They don't go into like really diving deep into like, hey, these are the messages that you should be pulling out. So like I think you're right. It's huge to be able to model out how this is how we should behave, like in a story, because it's more compelling and more interactive. But then being able to go down and break it down logically. So to bring up the whole people worshiping Batman and all these things, I've been watching Dragon Ball Super lately. So it's the continuation of Dragon Ball Z. And now watching it as an adult and thinking back about Michael, little kid Michael, watching these things on TV and realizing like how much I model myself after like Goku, for example. Like he has all these great qualities. You know what I mean? Like the guy's gonna fucking train and practice nonstop, and he's gonna always do the right thing, and he's a good guy, and all these things, and it's like
he's a protector.
And how much that had an influence on me without even noticing it. Like, and I'm sure it's because I spent a lot of time in front of the TV watching cartoons. I've put in not even 10,000 hours. Those 10,000 hours that you can put into a skill.
You're a master.
I put into anime and fucking movies and like that.
Master watching cartoons.
Master. And I spoke to you before where like I was writing this anime as a 12-year-old kid, and without even noticing, like I was following the journey of the hero. Like I was creating these stories where the character was doing the same exact thing as something that somebody spoke about years ago, about something that humans have been doing for thousands of years. And it makes sense that myths and all that have a huge impact on us. Because myths not only it's more than that, because
like people think myth is like a derogatory term.
Oh, it's not true. That's immediately what people hear.
Like,
oh, myth. Oh, it's a myth.
Oh, made up. It's fantasy. It's like no. There's reality. There's truth in there. It's just reality boiled down to to the most important details of a story. Like a good storyteller is not going to tell you the temperature in the room, how much lint he had in his pocket. He's not going to tell you like what he had for dinner. That like if a storyteller is giving you that level of detail and just telling you like just writing like a fucking real crime scene detective telling you every detail that he sees, no, that's a terrible storyteller.
Nah,
a storyteller
you can make it cool like that. You can make it cool with the details. You just got to be written well.
I don't know. The stories I listen, like when I hear people tell stories, I don't like people who tell me all the things that I don't need to know.
Right.
If you're telling me a story, you have to build the drama. For me, like you have to hype it up. Like there's good. We know good storytellers, and you know bad storytellers. You know storytellers will tell you every fucking unnecessary detail, and you're just sitting there like.
Detail is good. It's just whether it's necessary.
It's good if it's detail like describe, like trying to pull you into the scene. Or maybe details that make you describing their emotions. Yes, how you felt, sure, but not like this many books on the bookshelf.
So I was brushing my teeth. So I started with the bottom row first, and like you can go on and on.
It sounds like I don't want to read a story that sounds like a cookbook. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're telling me a story, it better sound like a car chase. You know what I mean?
Tell me about the conflict. Tell me about the emotion. Tell me about the lessons that these people are learning, and that's where those
being very emotive and expressive. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know where I was going with that.
You're 100% right, man. 100% right.
What was my original?
You were just saying how myths are. They're shitted on because it's not. Yeah. Again, literally, we use the word. Oh, that's just a myth.
Yeah. Like when something happens and somebody turns it into a good story.
It's just a myth.
Yeah. Where these myths are
poppycock.
They've lived past longer. Poppycock. They've lived longer than us.
Never heard that.
You know what I mean? Like at this point, whether Jesus is real or not, or was real or not, like he's more real than we are because we're going to be here for 75 years. He's been here for 2,000. And he's also been here for longer than that because he was also here when Horus was being spoken about and all these things. Like these things are huge, huge. And what we can learn from the past and what's going on now, they can definitely solve a lot more problems that way. But we're running out of time. Okay. So I think that's a good way to end it. Like I felt like a lot of synchronicities and a bunch of different topics we were talking. They all like layer on top of each other, which is great. You guys want to say anything before we close it up? We gotta go grab some burritos in a bit.
Thanks for coming through.
Thank you. I just want to say I feel like 100 stacks.
I feel like 100 racks. Shout out to B-Nut.
Beautiful thing. Yeah. Thanks for coming, bro.
Thank you. It was
really
fun.
Good one. We'll do more and more in the future. Hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a really good one. And stay tuned.
You want coffee?
Comment, like, subscribe, drink some coffee, get shit done.
Drink
Love
my water.
You guys.
Bustelo.
Peace.
Brought to you by Bustelo.
Brought to you by Bustelo.
I wish.